How is a person's education reflected? Upbringing is a characteristic reflected in a person's speech and behavior. This characteristic is widely concerned because it is directly connected with other people's direct perception of the person. If you think you are well educated, you have passed the first hurdle of establishing a positive relationship. If you feel that your upbringing is not good, you will encounter the first threshold in establishing a positive relationship. Everyone is a small TV station, constantly broadcasting his words and deeds to everyone who can see him. Before the information age, the scope of this kind of broadcasting was limited to a closed circle of people who could meet directly or hear stories through word of mouth. In the internet age, information can be spread across the world instantly along network lines, relying on search engines and recommendation algorithms, and can even be transferred across time through cloud storage and network snapshots. Everyone faced a terrible, but mostly ignorant, crisis, not knowing how to run their own little television station. People often fail to examine and reflect on what programs they are broadcasting, who will see it, and how wide, deep, and far-reaching the consequences will be. Eli serves as the director of a TV station, but his knowledgeable brain only serves as a cameraman and sound engineer. The special effects are earth-shattering, and they definitely cost more than 50 cents. The problem is that the director is a dinosaur after all. What does it mean to be educated? The first step to being educated is to be aware of the existence of this TV station and its criticality, and let the brain rather than the frontal lobe be the station director. Just this one thing has spanned at least 65 million years of evolution, and at least it is finally a primate. From here forward, there are so-called good education and bad education. No matter the score is positive or negative, at least there is a score, not null. Now that you have returned to your position and plan to be the director of the station yourself, what kind of guiding ideology do you want to use to organize your program? This is the essence of the education issue. Then you must first understand your audience's interpretation logic. How do people evaluate a person's upbringing through his behavior? First, people are evaluating whether your tutoring background is comprehensive enough. There is a lot of potential knowledge in interpersonal communication such as customs and etiquette. The more knowledgeable the parents are and the people with strong family heritage will receive more of this kind of education. This is reflected in people's speech and behavior. The names, tone, and actions of people will naturally conform to certain norms, which is the so-called if it conforms to the rules and the style of aristocratic family. This implies that this person must have a deep social background, so naturally people dare not look down upon him, let alone have any delusions easily. It is not easy for young people to understand these behavioral signals, but old Jianghu people are very sensitive to this. No matter how good the children are, they are still naive and inexperienced, so they are naturally the available resources for the old people. To put it bluntly, some old sharks benefit from bullying people, and a large majority of the people they bully are children who they judge to be worthy of offending. Through words and deeds, people feel that there may be some deep-rooted and unknown background behind this child, then these old foxes will naturally think twice before acting. They have many targets to choose from. As long as they have a little doubt, the line of sight will naturally move to others first. Therefore, respond appropriately. Be calm and unhurried, have rules and principles for advancing and retreating, speak gently and politely, and be polite, making people feel like spring breeze. This in itself can ward off evil spirits. On the contrary, it is useless to be full of spikes, quarrel with anyone, have a shady attitude, and make insinuations. It is useless to send out signals from time to time to let others know that you are not easy to mess with. Not only is it useless, it is also a particularly unfounded proof. This proves that you do not have the confidence to remain polite and settle things, that is, I really screwed you up, and I'm sorry you can't make trouble. It proves that you are in urgent need of allies and recognition, that is, as long as you say a few words that you like to hear, you will be so eager to think that you have met a brother, and all he needs to do to win you over is to hook his fingers. It proves that you are sensitive, suspicious, brooding and irritable, that is, if you click on the button and provoke you with a few words, you can manipulate you into being the shooter and scapegoat. All you need to push you is a small hint. 3 walls fell together, and of course 5 ghosts came to the door. Of course, man is not God and does not have unlimited endurance. In the end, everyone has a point where they cannot maintain their upbringing. But you have to remember that the lower the point, the easier it is for people to become prey. This question is extremely cold and realistic. This is why I feel heartbroken when I see some people here putting aside the biggest talisman of upbringing for trivial reasons and engaging in insinuation and shady art, just for this reason, exposing themselves to hunters. Parents really failed to fulfill its responsibilities. People who do this really do not know how to live or die. Again, no matter how important you think the specific thing you're arguing about is, should you lose your upbringing or not, is a separate, more serious, and more deadly issue. The words you write will always be there for everyone who passes by to see. Guess how many sharks are specifically looking for their next target in these places? In order to get that lollipop, is it worth broadcasting your location to the hunters in the dark forest? Does it worth? It is because they realize the importance of this knowledge that those aristocratic families attach so much importance to these etiquette issues of giving in and retreat. That's why they put in so much effort, and that's why they created the so-called family style. That's why they can enjoy the benefits of passive evil prevention. If you think about it carefully, you will find that this kind of systematic education is very cost-effective, far better than hiring a bodyguard or buying insurance. This in itself is a pillar for the long-term prosperity and stability of the family. So, what should I do if, for various reasons, these rules are not taught at home and I just don't understand them? After all, this kind of family background is something that can only be met but cannot be sought, and it is not something I can choose. So what if I was not born into a family with this kind of awareness and missed out on these educations, wouldn't I be saved? Not really. Because although the above is indeed true, and indeed very important to one's destiny, it is not the most critical aspect of education. For example, suppose there is such a foreigner who does not understand basic Chinese etiquette at all and cannot even speak Chinese. You can say that he does not understand etiquette, but it can be said that he does not know the correct distinction between seats and status. If he understands the Chinese way of yielding to advance or retreat, does that mean he is uneducated? Does not. Do you understand? Because people will use the new baseline of people who have not learned etiquette as a benchmark to measure their speech and behavior. If you have not received these family education inheritance and do not understand these subtle and complicated etiquette knowledge, it will really make people see that you do not have a big background. But that's not all you teach, you just get a new baseline. Next, whether you move upward or downward from this new baseline is what really sets your tone. One thing, you don't know whether it is rude to others, you really don't understand. So, if you don't understand, would you assume this is polite or impolite? It is rude to assume that what you do is not impolite when you don't understand. If someone says something you don't like, and you don't have the ability to judge whether the other person is lying, should you treat it as a lie, or should you treat it as, I'm not sure? If you treat it as a lie, you are uneducated. A thing may cause danger or inconvenience to others, or it may not, but you are not sure. Do you treat it as no big deal, or do you treat it as you need to be more cautious about this? You say it's not a big deal, that's uneducated. Do you understand this rule? What is education? Education doesn't mean you know everything. No one knows everything, and even if there is a family tradition, it is essentially just a matter of 50 steps and 100 steps of laughter. The real question is how you deal with the unknown. You don't know, you don't understand. But among the two possibilities, which one do you leave to others, and which one do you give to yourself? When you can love or hate, do you choose love or indulge in hate? Here is true education. Leave the best part to others as much as possible, and give as much benefit of doubt to others as possible. Such people will have many friends. You will have no less people to like you, no less people to favor you, and no less noble people to help you. This possibility is your profound background, which is better than people who only have family origins but no real education and can't do tricks. Having no knowledge of etiquette passed down from family but no education at this fundamental point is like having a pool of stagnant water but no water source. There are connections and they will wear out in the future. Even if there is no accumulation of family heritage, if you can stand at this fundamental juncture, personal connections and social networks will naturally roll in like spring water. The latter is the real living education.
Since justice
Think
has
more
been
about it
met
yourself.
this day.